We currently live in a generation where people sound stupid when they speak, and I don't want you to be one of them. So get ready to take some notes and focus, because in this video, I'm going to give you some tools to make you a more articulate and eloquent speaker. If you are new or a returning visitor to the Academy, welcome. The Duchess Academy is a personal branding institution for brilliant, sophisticated professional women. We teach women how to engineer and communicate their personal brand through status signals, whether it's in business or in their personal lives. We equip them to stack the deck in their favor in any room they enter so they can live the life they've always dreamed of. When a woman's status and social signals are strategically calibrated, she develops the confidence to make a seat at the table for herself. She becomes the obvious choice in any room. She gets the opportunities, the clients, the roles, the status, and ultimately gets paid more. Crushing her competition becomes normal. A Duchess knows she doesn't work harder, but she learns how to communicate her value in the language the world actually responds to, signals. Now, life is a game of chess, and winning the game takes strategy. It is the precise engineering of our signals that opens doors your brilliance alone cannot. Now, here's the uncomfortable truth no one in your office is going to tell you. The more you explain yourself, the less competent you sound. Now, notice I didn't say the less likable. I said the less competent. I'm talking about the specific measurable moment your voice starts working against you instead of for you. Because as it turns out, the research backs this up. Overtalking isn't a personality quirk. It's a status signal that you're sending out, and not a good one. Most professional women are broadcasting it in every single room without knowing it. So in this lesson, we are dismantling this fully. What overtalking actually communicates, why your brain does it under pressure, 4 studies that prove what I'm saying is true, and the exact framework to fix it, including one signal almost nobody talks about. So I want you to stay with me to the end, because the fix is not in talking less. That advice is lazy, and frankly, it's incomplete. The fix is far more precise than that. So let me set the scene, because I want you to see yourself in this. A woman walks into a client pitch. Let's call her the version of you that shows up prepared, sometimes over-prepared. She has all the data. She has all the credentials. She has rehearsed this pitch in the mirror, in the car, in her head at 2 a.m. She opens strong, very confident in her tone. Good posture. The room is leaning in. It's listening. And then the client pauses, just a normal, thoughtful pause. Nothing hostile, nothing bad. In fact, in that world, a pause like that is often a good sign. It means they're actually considering what you said. But our presenter, that pause, that silence makes her uncomfortable. So she opens her mouth and she adds another stat, then another caveat, then a story that, if you were listening closely, quietly contradicts the first thing she said, the first thing she opened with. She is now filling the silence because the silence feels like failure. It feels like the room is going cold, like she's losing them, like she needs to do something, anything, to keep the temperature up. And by the time she's done, she's spoken for 6 extra minutes nobody asked for. And she has, without realizing it, told the room everything they needed to know about her confidence. And the sad thing is, she thought she was building her case. Therefore, she kept going. But every additional sentence didn't add credibility. It subtracted it. 1 sentence at a time, like she was slowly writing herself out of the room she had just walked into. Now, this is the pattern I want you to notice, because I guarantee it's happening in your rooms too. Your sales meetings, your board meetings, your investor calls, interviews, maybe even your dates, even the dinner where you're trying to make a good impression on your partner's colleagues. Here's the question underneath all of this. Why does explaining more make you seem like you know less? Shouldn't more information equal more proof, more competence? Isn't that what you were taught? Work harder, say more, show your work, prove it over and over until no one can question you. Now, this formula can be very good. This formula got you your degrees, it got you your first promotion, and it might have gotten you that nice corner office you're sitting in right now. Now, nobody told you that competence and communication follow completely different rules. And in rooms where status is being silently assigned, which is in every room, those rules will quietly work against you if you don't know them. Let's get to the research, because every formula, every framework that I teach here at the Duchess Academy is backed with my expertise in behavioral science. Because I don't want you taking my word for it. I want you to see the evidence the way I had to see it before I built a curriculum around it. Now, here's the first study. Psychological Science published a piece of research that almost nobody talks about outside academic circles. People who spoke in general, less detailed terms were rated as more powerful than people who were over-specified. Vague, confident brevity read as authority. Detailed over-explaining read as anxiety, even when the over-explainer was, on paper, more accurate. Now, I want you to sit with that for a second because it is counterintuitive. We are taught that precision and detail signal expertise. In reality, unnecessary detail signals that you don't trust your own answers to hold up on its own. But it gets more specific than that. In our second study, Harvard Business Review's research on executive listening found something they call 360 listening, the practice among senior high-status leaders of attending not just to what is said, but to what is withheld. Now, the higher you rise in status in society or in the workplace or in your personal life, the less you're expected to fill the room with words. You're expected to read the room, understand the room, to notice what isn't being said, and let that inform you as much as what is being said. Therefore, and this is the part that should sting a little, the pausing of the woman in my earlier example was never the problem. It was the test. And the woman in my story failed it, not because her ideas were bad, but because her nervous system couldn't tolerate the quiet pause of the man seated across from her for even 5 seconds. Now, in our third study, this one is from CNBC's coverage of workplace communication research. People who overexplain their effort or stress at work are rated as less competent and less warm than people who simply state outcomes. It tells the room subconsciously, I need you to believe I worked hard, instead of just letting the results speak. And here's the real kicker. Overtalking was never actually about the listener because it doesn't read as diligence. It reads as reassurance seeking. You're not informing the room, you're managing your own discomfort out loud in front of witnesses. Play that one back. That's important. That's the truth underneath the truth. Overtalking isn't a communication problem per se. It is an anxiety response wearing a blazer. Now, the fourth study is taken from Psychology Today. They did research on what's clinically called compulsive talking, and it found that overtalkers are frequently managing their own discomfort with silence. In other words, you're not filling the room, you're filling yourself. You're using words the way some people use a fidget, a nervous habit dressed up as diligence, delivered in heels at a boardroom table, and mistaken by everyone in the room, including you, for confident. And that's the truth underneath the truth. So if you've been sitting there listening to me and you're thinking, okay, Arthi, I just need more confidence, that's not quite it either. This was never a confidence problem in the way we usually talk about confidence. It is a signal problem, a specific, identifiable, fixable pattern in how you behave the moment a room goes quiet. And that's actually good news because signals can be engineered. They can be curated. Confidence, that vague, abstract version we're sold in most self-help content, cannot. There are 4 signals of overtalking I want you to hunt for in your own behavior this week, and I want you to eliminate it one at a time. This is straight out of the communication signal work we do inside the Duchess Academy. The first signal is called the reassurance loop. This is when you answer a question completely, correctly, and then immediately undercut it by asking if it landed with everyone. Sound familiar? Here are some examples of that. Does that make sense? Do you want me to go into more detail? Let me know if that's not clear. There is no need to ask anything of the room once you've given a confident answer to a question. When you ask questions like these, they look like a request for reassurance dressed up as customer service. A true duchess, a woman of status, delivers the answer and lets it land in silence without checking on it like it's a wound that might reopen. Signal 2, the contradiction stack. Now, this is what happened in our boardroom story. The woman in my example gave one stat, then reached for another that quietly undercut the first. Now, when you're nervous, your brain starts pulling from every angle it can find to defend a point that was honestly already fine on its own. But the room that's listening to you doesn't remember your best point. It remembers your last one. So if your last point contradicts your first, you have erased your own credibility in real time in front of the very people you were trying to impress. Signal 3 is the silence flinch. Now, this is the one that matters the most, and it's the one nobody names. The pause after you speak is not dead air. Please do not get nervous here. It is a room actively deciding what to do with what you just said. Now, if you feel it, you steal that decision-making moment away from them and hand them a reason, unconsciously, to see you as unsure. Now, if you are in sales, this is absolutely critical. After you make your presentation and pitch, go silent. Let that potential lead determine whether or not they want to move forward with you. Any more talking that you do after that could kill everything that you just did. So if you let it sit, even for a full 5 seconds, which will feel like an eternity the first time you try it, you hand them the space to actually arrive at respect on their own terms. And respect that a room arrives at on its own is worth 10 times more than respect you beg them to give you. Signal 4 is called the overqualifier. This is the quieter cousin of the reassurance loop. It's the, I might be wrong, but, or the, this is just my opinion, Or I could be off here, but linguists actually have a term for this. It's called linguistic insecurity, the habit of softening a statement in advance to avoid the risk of being wrong. I'm sure that one sounds familiar. Women the world over do this a lot more than men, whether they're career-minded or not. Now, here's what this actually does. It removes your authority before your sentence has even had the chance to mature in the other person's mind. You are handing the room permission to dismiss you before they've even heard what you had to say. High status individuals give the answer. If they need to revise it later, then they revise it later, out loud, without apology. They do not pre-apologize or ask for permission to state their case. Now look, I get it. Knowing these 4 signals intellectually is not the same as catching yourself doing them live. In a negotiation, in an interview, during sales, a client call, boardroom, on a date, meeting new friends, under real pressure, especially with your heart rate climbing and your brain telling you the silence is this emergency. The real problem here is you cannot watch yourself the way the room or the audience is watching you. You don't hear your own reassurance loop. You don't notice your own contradiction stack while you're mid-sentence trying to salvage it. And this is exactly why when I work with clients privately, one of the first things we do is put a recording device in front of them and play it back. Or watch it back if it's a video, because almost every single woman is shocked at what she actually does under pressure versus what she believed she was doing. You cannot fix a signal you cannot see or hear, and that is the actual work, not motivation, not empty platitudes. No more confidence talk or just do it talk. The work here at the Duchess Academy is diagnosis and then correction. Now, this is exactly why I built a Speak Like a Duchess Masterclass, because the what and the why of your communication signal, everything I just walked you through, only gets you so far on its own. The how, the actual engineering of your voice, your pacing, your tonality, your relationship to silence, your presence, the way your composure becomes automatic under real pressure, not just in front of a mirror when nothing is at stake. That is the work we do inside the masterclass. Now, if you are a woman who has done everything right, you're brilliant, you have the credentials, you're prepared, you have a strong work ethic, and you want to walk into a room and shake it up the way Elizabeth Taylor did, the way Dorothy Dandridge did, and Shirley Chisholm did, and you are still watching less prepared people get chosen ahead of you. One of the signals that you must master is eloquent, confident control of language. Mastering communication is where you start. And if this is something that you want to start working on this week, comment the word speak down below, and I will send you the link to our masterclass, Speak Like a Duchess. Pretty will get you in the room. Your presence decides if you're remembered. And the way you speak, when used correctly and confidently and deliberately without apology, decides what doors open for you. Why explain yourself when you can simply be undeniable? I'll see you in the next one.